Okay, hey, 12 Soul with Joe Ray here.
Howdy.
He's we're gonna run through. We're in Sturgis right now. Behind me, I'm gonna flip this camera. Behind me is what South Dakota is famous for, and it's creeping up on us right now. It's a big, giant thundercloud. Okay, so I just want to share something about America. Excuse me. One of the things that's really cool about Sturgis is that nobody's wearing masks here. We're about to find that out. But you know what? Guys that ride Harleys, they're pretty much their own men. They're self-made people. You can see all these different bikes. That's what makes Harleys so cool. Is that everybody's got their own version of Harley. Everyone. Sometimes you get rat bikes, you get custom bikes. Hey y'all, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm well.
Good.
Sturgis is the largest motorcycle rally in the United States. It happens once a year. It is one big, giant party. Okay, so that being said, we're gonna go talk to some people.
Oh yeah, that looks like a whole lot of storm over there.
Yeah, you think? Hey, how's it going?
Just dissipate like nothing come out of here.
I'm Gregory Anderson. I'm a former Navy diver. I'm a former Navy SEAL.
Thank you for your service.
I've been traveling across the nation asking some people some real basic questions about
I
this
gotta
COVID.
go, man. We gotta go meet two people. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you
No
for your
worries.
service.
You guys take care.
We gotta go meet them.
No worries.
Thanks for the house. Thanks, man.
Yeah. So anyway, we're at Sturgis, and we've got some really fine young women here. I just interviewed this lady earlier. She's the one that's polishing the bike. She works for the entertainment industry. She's a bartender, I think, and she was saying something about the COVID being putting a big damper in her life, I believe. And I'll get to her later. She looks a little busy right now. Okay, yeah, you can tell I've already been through here and rolled through this whole thing here. But there's a guy I need to talk to again. He's sitting over here. He's a really interesting guy. In fact, both of these guys are interesting. Here's my guys right here.
Hey, so did Steve get a hold of you?
Not yet.
My buddy is Steve Miranchek. I think I said it right. I'm drinking.
That's fine.
That's a good buddy of mine. Apparently he knows you very well.
Oh, Steve, you know him?
Yeah, I go riding with him all the damn time.
You know Steve?
I know Steve very well.
You know something? I'll tell you something. When I was in the Philippines building my kids a restaurant, he's on my Facebook. Open that up, pull one of those things out of there. Steve is one hell of a guy.
I love that guy.
He's an awesome guy.
Super motivator.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a good picture of me and him. We did a ride not too long ago. And I'm a part of Neptune's Bastards.
Neptune's Bastards. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know that.
there.
That is so awesome that I would meet you.
It's such a small world. There we go. Yeah, Steve.
There he is right there. I wonder if he's here. There he is.
Oh, he's not here. He just called me. But
he's off on his RV somewhere doing something. Here, pull one of those. 12 Soul, Gregory Anderson.
TWELP
H.
HSOUL.
Yeah, I think I wrote it on the back too. Yeah, that's the YouTube channel.
Heck yeah.
All right, so we're gonna do this interview again.
All right.
Because we were live on Facebook. Okay.
I'm about to get pulled away here in a second.
That's fine.
You know.
I'm gonna give you your 2 cents worth about some stuff. I noticed that you don't have any legs, okay? And that's because of.
I stepped on an IED in Afghanistan.
Okay, so and what year was that?
2010.
So you're really familiar with fear.
Yeah.
Okay. And so how is this COVID thing, what do you think about America and
people are they're scared now, and we need to stop being scared. Fear is the worst thing you can have right now. And our country wasn't built on fear, so we need to get rid of it.
Enemies, foreign and domestic?
Yep.
What do you say about that in America right now? Do you think that has anything to do with this COVID?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
You got a wait and see attitude like me?
Yeah, kind of. I have an opinion about it, but I definitely, without speaking too political, I think there's something to it.
Okay.
Something to it.
Right on, brother. Now I'm going to talk to this guy. This is an old.
This is a warrior.
This is an
right
old.
here.
There's a warrior right here. Okay, what did you do? You said you were in Vietnam.
Yeah, it's combat engineer
You're a combat engineer.
with 20th Engineer Brigade. We were actually a full bridge company over there. We didn't build much bridge. We did
Heavy
a
rain
raft
and
a little
thunderstorms starting
bit.
in 44 minutes.
But
So you work with you work on the Delta area.
yeah, we were down the Delta, yeah.
So you knew the special boat teams out there,
Yeah, yeah.
and the SEAL teams. I'm sure you knew those guys too.
Yeah, we met quite a few of them.
They trained us. You know.
Some of those,
Right
some
for
of them
us,
guys
that's
that come in and eat in our lunchroom
That's
there when
purple.
we were down in the Delta. And but mostly I just hauled materials all over.
So okay, so with this whole thing today, okay, let's we're gonna switch this camera around. Okay, so with this whole thing today, sir, and your retrospect, okay, about America, all right?
Yeah.
And I believe you're probably around what 64,
74.
So you're 74 years old. I'm 60. Now, as this big thundercloud comes in on us, and
Yeah.
I know we're going to get wet in a little bit. I know that. But can you just speak to the fear or what America's turned into? I mean, what do you think about America today, right now, with this COVID, people wearing masks? Obviously, this is like my 150th interview or something like
Yeah.
that. And we pretty much know that the masks are bullshit.
Well, yeah, that's all bullshit. I've known people they're getting respiratory infection and stuff from wearing them, and everything else.
So the masks are actually causing a respiratory infection.
Yeah.
Now, what about like covering your mask, covering your face, and the social aspect of it?
Well, I have not done it at all.
But when you walk around stores and you see guys wearing masks, I mean, doesn't that bother you?
Well, it bothers me to the fact that I can't believe they're so taken in by this thing. That, I mean, we've had so many things happen through our country over the years, and we've never had to go to wearing masks like this. And this is not even the worst thing that's ever happened to us. I mean, that H1N1 was a heck of a lot worse than what we got now, and nobody was wearing masks. In fact, nobody even talked about it. You know, it was oh yeah, I got the flu, or no, I didn't get it. You know,
Right.
years ago, back in the late '70s, I was working on a farm, and the boss, he wanted everybody to have a flu shot. So I went in town, I got my flu shot, and a week later I was so damn sick I couldn't even get up off the floor, and I was laid there for 10 days with a flu of some kind, and I've never taken a flu shot since then, and I've never had the flu since then.
So that's really interesting because, you know, I study history,
Yeah,
and, you know, 1918, 1917, you
Yeah.
know, America's in the war. And it come to find out, historical documentation shows that America brought the Spanish flu, which has never happened in Spain.
No.
You know, it was everywhere else, but in Spain, it's really funny that they would do that.
Yeah.
But some element said, let's vaccinate these soldiers before they go overseas. They travel across America. Places like Gunnison are having, you know, after this thing hits, places like Gunnison are having guns drawn so that they can't go because people are literally dying.
Yep.
Like whole families are dying,
Yep.
right? There's no lockdown.
No.
There's no, I mean, well, Gunnison locked down, but as far as like, no one's wearing a mask, and they didn't stop the economy because of it.
No.
And then it goes on to kill 60 more people than the war.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the news media is like saying this is like the Spanish flu, but it's really not because no one's dying. Very few people are dying, and actually the flu is a little worse than. I mean, this is like. So what's going on?
Yeah. Well, I believe this, like I said, this COVID-19 is a man-made virus. It's patented. Now, I don't know why you would patent something like this or even invent something like this, but I believe it was turned loose on purpose to interfect our elections. Because if you get people scared enough of something, then they'll start listening to something, anybody that tells them, oh, we're going to make it right with you. And they don't understand that those are probably the people that turned it loose to begin with. You know, like I said,
False flags.
false flags, yeah. And people just don't understand. When I grew up, we learned all history, world history, American history, everything. And nowadays, none of that is taught in schools.
And civics isn't either.
No, you know, and
So legal people don't know about the law. They don't know about the way the government works. They don't know anything. But they know how to push and play video games.
Yeah, when I was, well, I've got 4 grandkids, and the oldest one's 28 now, and the youngest one's 19. And they never taught anything in history in school. When they had like an hour on Vietnam, and so then they asked me about it because they knew I was there.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, that's not what our teacher said. And I said, no. I said, I can tell you what your teacher said was it was all just made up by the Democrats or the Republicans, and somebody in the government made it up, and so that makes it sound like it's just bad government, not anything else. But I said there was 58,000 some odd people that died in Vietnam, and we came home and people were spitting on us in the airports and stuff. And
I remember.
Yeah, and we were not welcomed. Actually, we were not welcomed.
And there was a lot of kids like myself in 1969, wondering if we were going to get drafted.
Yeah.
You know, so there was this fear that was going on.
Yeah.
And
I was a draftee. I was drafted for 2 years. I spent actually 22 months in the service, and we come home 2 months before my time to get out, but then because I only had 2 months left, they gave me an early out. And one nice thing is I didn't have to go to any reserve meetings or nothing because I was a Vietnam veteran.
now, later on in history, they didn't say this back then, but boy, they would have gotten in trouble. We come out and find that the Gulf of Tonkin incident was a complete false flag.
Yep.
And that was put upon. But one thing I want to, we know that maybe some of us know about the Gulf of Tonkin, but
Yeah.
okay, let's speak about something else. The USS Liberty.
Yeah.
All right, we lost American sailors, and the Israeli government is implicated in doing that, and the Russians actually saved us. So, does it bother you, like it bothers me, okay, that there's a part of our government that's trying to kind of screw us over, and there's
Yeah.
another part of our government, and I'm kind of wondering which is which anymore these days. How about you?
Oh yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you one example of what over in Vietnam. President Johnson said there never had been any troops, and never will be any troops in Cambodia.
That's an absolute lie.
Yeah, I was hauling material in there, 20 miles into there.
And what about the heroin they were bringing back to the United States?
Oh, that was the biggest thing, was all the drugs that was coming out of the Golden Triangle and stuff over there.
As I travel across the United States, we come about right into, history right now is in the making, okay? A lot of the people that I talk to, they're talking about methamphetamines and heroin as being the number one problem in their areas. And I'm talking about Tennessee. I'm also talking about the black areas in Memphis. I'm also talking about the Cree Nation over in Oklahoma, and out here too.
Yeah.
The Native Americans out here that meth, and that's changing the way people are thinking.
Yeah.
It's a real danger to our society. Not only to mention this fear called the COVID.
Yeah. Well, right now today, all these young people that are rioting and stuff, they were all given trophies. Whether they won or lost, they were given a trophy. So nobody got a winning trophy or a losing. It was just everybody got the same damn trophy. Well, when you go around and you give everybody the same thing all the time, they expect to be given everything. No matter what they do, they expect they're going to get a trophy at the end of it. And that's not the way life is.
There's no winners and losers.
No. You go out and get a real job. If you're not doing good, you're going to get fired. But if you're doing good, you get promoted.
Yeah.
Well, that's what real trophies are.
That's why they did that.
Yeah,
That's the whole thing about competition.
yeah. They didn't want the kids to feel bad if they lost, so they said, well, everybody gets a trophy, don't worry about it.
So when you
We're
went
not
to
even going to keep score.
When you went to school, they taught you how to think and not to be in consensus. Is that correct?
Yeah,
So today we have consensus education
yeah.
versus when, in '59 I looked at this primer for high school, and they were teaching Greek, they were teaching Latin,
Yeah.
they were teaching civics, and these are things that they don't even want to bother with anymore.
Don't even mess with anymore because it's not important to the powers that be. They want a one world government, and if you get a one world government, the only people that are going to be in charge are the ultra rich. You take the people like can't think of it right now, that owns all the banks and stuff in the world.
Okay, those would be the Rothschilds.
Rothschild, there you go.
That would be the Council of Foreign
Yeah.
Relations. That would
Yeah.
be the Round Table Group.
Yeah.
That would be a guy named Carroll Quigley, which I speak about all the time, and wrote something called the Anglo-American Agenda.
And another guy in there, and he's the one that's causing most of our trouble because he pays these rioters to go out and riot.
That would be a guy named Soros.
George Soros, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes,
George
sir.
Soros.
Yes,
And
sir.
he is actually, I think, the biggest threat to America today.
How can you speak to this thing? When I was in Colorado, the business owners, when this thing first hit, they actually they were paying the U.S. government was paying their employers, okay, to the employees, giving them relief checks. Nobody wanted to work anymore.
No, well, that's like right now. You're getting everybody's getting $600 a week for unemployment. Well, they're making more on unemployment than they did in their own job.
So is that coercion by the U.S. government?
That is bribery.
Do you think that's like a threat to our freedom?
Oh yeah. Anytime that you can, the government. Well, okay. The best example is you go out to Yellowstone. The sign says, "Do not feed the animals," because the animals will become dependent on you.
Wow,
Well,
good
that's
analogy.
the same thing. If you give everybody free money,
Yeah.
they're going to be dependent on that, and they don't want to do nothing. And that's the simplest thing there is.
And so then our country folds.
Yep. Okay, well, you get down to the place where you got a third of the people that work, and the rest of them are all on welfare.
And what about drug dealers who have the supply and then all of a sudden it cuts off?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then so you think that maybe America's maybe getting conditioned in that way? That's socialism to a
Yeah.
great degree, right?
Oh yeah. That's what they're trying to pull in right now, socialism, and that's like this Antifa outfit. They're anti-fascist, but they're more fascist than anything. They are actually, if you look at everything they're doing, they are following Adolf Hitler's example of how he took over Germany.
Exactly. Or Stalin.
Yeah.
Or Stalin.
Or Stalin. Yeah.
Because Stalin erased the Russian history.
Yep.
Mao erased Chinese history.
Yep.
And now we've got Antifa, and what they're doing.
Trying to erase our history. I mean, there's no reason to tear down a statue. It's just a piece of rock carved into a figure. That is not something that is prayed to or idolized. It's just a statue, is all it is. But these people think it's some great symbol that they have to tear down in order to tear down the country.
The funniest thing is that Stalin is in Seattle. It's in Washington State.
Yeah.
They haven't touched his statue.
No. And well, it's like Obama.
He killed 60 million Russians, and
Yeah.
they were artisans, they were educators, they were doctors,
Yeah.
they were everybody that made the society work.
Well, in Vietnam during Tet Offensive up at Way City, by the time we got there, they had killed all of the teachers and politicians and everybody of any kind of political power were all killed off by the Viet Cong.
So you're not afraid of this COVID.
No,
And
me and the Lord got an understanding. He can take me whenever he wants, and I ain't gonna hide from him.
the Tet Offensive was the Tet Offensive, T or TED, the TET, right?
Yeah.
Tet Offensive. That was a turning point in the Vietnam War.
Well, yeah, because Walter Cronkite come out and said the war is not winnable, and everybody in America believed Walter Cronkite.
Yeah, they did. Wasn't he the same guy that said that there was like a 3-bullet thing for JFK?
Yeah,
And Johnson signs the order to go into Vietnam while JFK's body is being mutilated or
Yeah.
sewed back together on a plane, right?
well, actually, JFK had sent advisors over there.
Yeah, so we were in Nam in 58.
Yeah, well, yeah, back in the 50s, yeah, like right after he got in.
But no one
And-
was saying anything about it to the American people.
Well, actually, Eisenhower had put in advisors over there too. But when him and Kennedy met, he told him, he says, pull the troops out of there because you can't win a ground war in Asia. But then he started add more and more, and then he decided, I'm going to pull out. Well, that's when he got shot.
So, so Dulles is part of the CIA.
Yeah.
He's implicated in that. The Bush family has been implicated in that, believe it or not. Okay. You probably know this stuff, huh?
Lady Bird Johnson had a company that built Connex containers, these shipping containers we see.
Uh-huh.
So, LBJ didn't want to stop the war because his wife was making a fortune building all them Connex containers for shipping everything over to Vietnam. There was a lot of people that, I know one contractor, I'm not going to say his name because he's done a lot of good in life, but he had nothing but just like a little outhouse for an office to begin with. And then he got hooked up over in Vietnam supplying lumber and cement and everything else. And he's one real rich contractor now.
So war is a racket. Smedley Butler.
Yeah. Anybody that industry makes a fortune off of war. And even like in World War I, World War II, some of the farmers made good money because of the crops. They needed the food. The 30s were bad for everybody because that was the Depression. And they could have ended that shortly after it started, but they wanted to keep it going because of that. They wanted to create the Great Society. And
Sort of a Masonic thing.
yeah, well, no, not Masonic. Masonic is not that way. But it was, the best example,
I take it you've read Morals and Dogma by...
a lot of it, yeah.
I have too. I'm in agreement with you that the basic tenets of Masonry isn't that way.
No.
But there is something else besides Masonic.
Yeah. Well, okay, when FDR brought in the Social Security Act,
Right.
all right, at the time, life expectancy was 63 years of age. And at that time, they made it, you had to be 65 to draw. And so he figured that he was developing a slush fund for the government to use because most people would never get their money back out of it. And every president since then has taken money out of Social Security to pay something else off. Every president has done that. Except, Trump hasn't done it, but everybody else has. And Clinton actually took out the most because he took it out to pay off the national debt and pay it down, and he took out the most of the money.
He was also implicated in bringing a lot of cocaine into this country. Is that correct?
Yeah.
He's also a Rhodes Scholar from the Cecil Rhodes Foundation, which takes us back to the Round Table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think this 23-minute thing is it's probably a little bit deep for most people.
Yeah.
But I think that this is kind of the stuff that is either going to make or break America, because we need to understand that we're being hoodwinked.
We're being conditioned right now. We're being conditioned to accept they want to do away with the police. You can't do away with police. If you do away with the police, there's going to be complete anarchy. There won't be nobody to stop them then.
Right.
And you got to have law and order. That's all there is to it. And to send out somebody from the social service office to calm a situation down is like trying to pee on a fire. It ain't going to happen. I'm sorry, I don't mean
No,
to
no, fuck it. I'd say what you want.
Yeah, but I mean, I get a little graphic sometimes.
I don't
but
blame you. It is like
But-
peeing on a forest fire.
I'm 74 years old, like I said. I've got type 2 diabetes. I'm high blood pressure, and I got COPD and stuff. But I've got 4 grandkids that I love dearly, and I'd like to see them grow up into an America like I did. Because I grew up in the best of times through the 50s and the 60s, and I still think that was the best of times.
I have no disagreement with you there.
And,
Thinking about Carol Shelby's Cobras
Yeah,
and all of the crazy stuff that people did back then.
yeah. We all had muscle cars and
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
and we all were taught everything in school.
Right.
And then the Vietnam War come along, and boy, things just went downhill from there.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
And to think that was all over a lie.
yeah, all over a lie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here we are at Sturgis. This is one of the first interviews. I'm going to get this gentleman's name, and this is his story. What's your name, sir?
Dale Seieroe.
So this is Dale Seieroe's story. COVID files. 12 Soul out.